that I haven't done before, which is sugaring my entire face using the strip method, which is using like typical wax strips like this. I'm also going to be shaping my brows with the same type of thing. So to get started, I just want to pull back my bangs, and I have a little headband here that I'm going to work with. So this will just kind of help keep some of those hairs out of the sugar and from blocking them from getting stuck in the sugar. Okay, so the other thing to start with, this type of strip is kind of bigger than what I would like, so I'm actually going to cut the strips to smaller sizes. And I have some scissors here. So what I like to do is go in half and then do another half like this. All right. So then your size is about like this size. And then I'm actually going to get a few ready just so I have them ready for my brows. And for brows, I like to do them about this size. Okay, I'll go ahead and do a few more here. So one of the reasons I haven't done this type of technique, and I don't really promote it very heavily, is just because it does require more supplies. You need to have the strips, you need to have sticks, and when you're looking to be economical, it can be a little more costly to do it this way. And sometimes I find that it doesn't work quite as well with pulling out the hair, but for the most part it still works really well. So if this method works better for you, if you're just used to the strip method, that's one reason I wanted to demonstrate it, because I'm sure that there's a lot of people out there that would love the sugaring if they could use it in this method. So I wanted to kind of demonstrate how that worked. All right. So the next thing I'm going to do is cleanse my skin. I actually already washed my face before starting this, but just for an extra wash, I'm going to use this witch hazel, which is a good, nice quick way to cleanse your skin. Or if you are working on a customer or client, you could, this is a nice easy cleanse to just get any lotions or oils or makeup, anything that might be on the skin. Even if people say they haven't put lotion on or makeup on, just the sweat and air pollutions that they may have been in contact with before coming in to your salon, it's just a good idea to cleanse their skin. I find that faces especially have more oils and things like that can interfere with the sugaring. So the other thing about sugaring, a facial sugaring, is it could be promoted as a skincare treatment, because it is exfoliating that top layer of dead skin cells, and people's skin is going to feel really nice afterwards and be soft and smooth. And so it's just an idea, but if you are using this like in a professional setting, you could promote it as hair removal plus facial kind of special treatment. Okay, so I heated up my sugar already, and you want it a lot more runny for doing it in this method. So it should fall off your stick kind of like honey, but not be too hot because you don't want to burn your skin. If you've just heated it up, test it on your arm first, which I already did earlier, to make sure it's, I usually test like right here, kind of like you would test baby's milk, bottle milk, to make sure it's not too hot and not going to burn you. You definitely don't want burns on your face. All right, so the other thing that's different than waxing is that you're going to go up against the hair when you're applying it, and then you're going to pull in the direction of the hair. Then I'm going to take my strip. I'm actually using my camera as my mirror, so bear with me here. Okay, one important thing is to pull the skin really tight. So wherever you can get the best grip, for me it's actually down here. And pull it off. There you go. It may be hard to even tell that I have hair on this area of my face because it's mostly blonde, but I really do have a lot of hair. And I haven't sugared this area for months and months, so it's fully grown in. I'm kind of excited to have it removed. So I'm just using the strip to kind of pick up some of those missed little pieces of sugar. And also, as you're going through, if you do like what I'm doing and kind of like use your hand to mold it on, you're going to what am I trying to say? You're going to lift up some of the missed hairs that might have been missed. I just noticed that I actually pulled the strip in the opposite way. So to kind of go backtrack to get the best results, you actually want to pull this way. And I think I pulled up on the strip. So I still got the hair out, but you usually get better hair out, more hair out by going the opposite way of whatever you applied. So I'm going to go a little bit more here. Man, I don't have much hair like up by my cheek, but I'm just kind of doing this to for sure demonstrate it, but also it is a nice facial treatment, so it even just as an exfoliation. So with doing it this method too, you can try to put it on fairly thin. The thinner, usually the more hair you're going to grab. Okay, so this time I'm going to do it correctly and pull down. Okay. Alright, so I actually need a clean strip to get this last piece off. Okay. So this strip only has a couple little pieces on it, so I'm actually going to reuse that one. Okay, so I think I'm going to go ahead and go to the other cheek, do that full area, and then come back and do my, like around my upper lip area. Okay. There we go. So, just to make sure that I made that clear, since I kind of did it the opposite way on the other side, when you're applying the sugar on your face, apply it up against the hair and then pull down with the hair. And if you're used to waxing, one thing that was obvious to me with sugaring once I first tried it was you can't really do speed sugaring with the strip method, at least not that I've discovered, just because it is thicker and stickier and it doesn't work the same as waxing. So a lot of you do end up using more strips as well if you do this method, because it goes on a little thicker, and so you can't use the same strip as many times like waxing. But other than that, one of the benefits, I mean, it's got a lot of benefits, but one for sure benefit is that it's so much more gentle on the skin. So even if you are using a few more strips and maybe you have to take a little more time to do it, you're going to really save the skin as far as pain and redness and all of that. Okay. I think there's like a little hair there that kind of has some sugar on it. I'm just going to kind of wipe that off. Okay, so this is that witch hazel gauze again, so I'm just kind of using that to take off some of that sugar residue that's still on the skin. Okay. So next phase, another thing I should mention is if you do have sensitive skin or oily skin, it does help to apply powder. I am going to apply a little bit of powder around my lip area because that's a little more tender spot for me. So this is just talc powder. Some on my nose too. Okay. So I'm grabbing the sugar out. So I'm going to start on this side, just going up against the hair. Okay, and if you remembered my smaller strips, I think I'm going to use those. So I'm kind of stretching my skin out by making a funny face, but that helps. You can also use your tongue on the inside to push against the skin. And just to kind of clean up that area. Okay. Now the other side. Okay. And it actually isn't a bad idea to kind of go over like I'm doing a few times. Not only does it kind of smooth out your sugar and make it a little thinner, but it also gives the chance for the hair to kind of get wrapped up in that sugar, more chance of it getting pulled out than the first time that you pull. So I think I'm just going to use this bigger piece. Stretching the skin. There we go. Just folding that over. Oh, whoops. I'm going to pull it. And also rubbing on the little strip to kind of really work that sugar into the hair helps too. Get a fresh piece here. Right now I'm just kind of using a strip to pick up any little missed pieces of sugar. They're just kind of random. Okay, so now I'm actually going to show a little bit on the nostril. This isn't really the best method. It's better if you've seen my other video on how to do the nostril to do it in that method, but I'm just going to show one option here. Just got to really make sure that strips in there. Okay, so I got a few hairs out. I wouldn't recommend like going up too high in the nostril with this method because you're not going to have an easy time getting the strip up there. The strip really needs to work with like flat surfaces, so that's one reason that, you know, I'm just kind of really trying to stretch that skin out with using this method. And you might notice I'm going like a few different directions, and that's just, you know, on the nostril, the hair grows like all sorts of different ways. All right. I think I got all of that. Okay. So now we've gotten the cheeks, the sideburns, the upper lip. I'm going to go ahead and do my whole chin. I'm fortunate that I don't have a ton of hair on my chin. I used to have some really like long, coarse hairs that would grow out of my chin, and I had them lasered, and then there was a couple blonde ones that I had electrolysis done on. So I've pretty much gotten all of those gone, except for I think there's one that keeps growing in every once in a while that I still have to tweeze out, but definitely helped get rid of some of the brown ones and those coarse ones. But so I can relate if you have hair like that. I'm going to go ahead and cut a couple more strips. This. Okay. All right. I should point out, if you do have a lot of those coarse hairs on your chin, letting the sugar sit on there for a little longer is going to help help them soften. It kind of softens the follicle because of the lemon juice in the sugar, and so they'll come out a little easier. And you also want to make sure they're long enough for the sugar to grab onto. So they definitely need to be, you know, about 1/4 of an inch is good. Sometimes you can get them at 1/8 of an inch, but 1/4 of an inch is easier. Okay. Right. So I think I'm going to go ahead and go right to my brows. Put a little powder. I was just thinking this is where I may need to go get a mirror just to make sure that, because it's not as clear of a picture on the computer. Yeah, I better go get a mirror. I'll be right back. Okay, so maybe if I set that back behind, or I want it to where you can see me, but where I can see too. Yeah, it's so kind of hard to see, which probably means it's hard for you guys to see, but hopefully you get like the idea of how to do this. All right, that might work. I'm just putting the mirror like right behind the screen so I'm able to see it. All right, this will work. Okay. All right. It's kind of like a little piece that's not coming off there. Okay. Pretty good. My hands actually feel a little sticky, so I'm just gonna wipe them off. The nice thing about sugaring compared to waxing is it comes off with the water. So if you've ever worked with wax, it's a lot more difficult to get off if you get your hands sticky or anything sticky. Okay. Go ahead and do a little bit above. You don't always have to do the above. I have a preference to do it. I like how it kind of gives my brows a little bit better shape. And let's see, I put it on this way, so I'm gonna take it off this way. And I'm gonna actually clean off this brow. I feel like it's kind of getting sticky, and just kind of give myself a fresh start. Then clean off side. Okay. And then I have a dry washcloth too, just after or before starting to sugar again. You want to make sure all the water is off, because that any water, it's going to make it so the sugar doesn't want to stick to the skin. All right, so a little more powder. Okay. go ahead and do under here. If you're not super confident in doing your own brow shaping, you can use the sugar kind of around, the general shape, and then, every few weeks, or probably every 6 weeks, 8 weeks, if you're doing a little bit of cleanup in between, you could go in and have them professionally shaped. I know quite a few people that do that, and one of the reasons is that sugaring's just a little nicer to, faster, I guess, to do than tweezing it, tweezing all the hairs. Okay. I guess I need to do above this brow here. Okay. All right, so just for the full effect, I'll go ahead and go over my nose. And this is an area that I prefer to use the other method, not with the strips, just because noses aren't flat. And that's one nice thing about the paste method is you can go a bunch of different angles. It doesn't have to be a flat surface. So strips, I do need to cut a few more here. Strips are a little bit, just help. It helps to work with flat surfaces with strips. Okay, here we go. And mainly it's because you want to have the skin really tight with both methods, ideally, but especially with using the strip. If you're finding the strip's not coming off or it's not pulling the product off with it, it's probably because you're not pulling the skin tight enough. I mean, that's one problem that it could be. Okay, and also do my full forehead. My sugar's starting to thicken up a little bit. If you notice that your sugar's getting thicker and you still have a long way to go, you could go ahead and put it in the microwave for a few more seconds, just to kind of soften it up. And then I'm also going to do my neck because I have some hair on my neck. And I just remember that I should be going up against the hair to pull with the hair, and I did it the wrong way. So this time I'm going to just use a full strip. I guess I'll go ahead and take the whole piece off. Sometimes it can be like a little more painful if you take like a big piece off at one time, but I'm going to give it a shot here. Okay, so just turning my head to kind of keep that skin tight. Also adding a little pressure here to pull the skin. And off we go. Wasn't so bad. Okay. All right. Next, are prone to bruising. Sometimes, if you're not pulling the skin tight. Okay, so on this side, we are going to go the opposite way. Going up. I have sugar on my hand, so. Yeah. All right, and so this time I applied it up, so I'm going to flick down. And really rubbing that into the hair, I think, does help you get a good result. Cut the strip again, just to have a little smaller piece to work with. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do the middle of my neck. And going up against the hair. And go ahead and cut a few more strips here. And now I'm going to pull down. And even if you don't have hair in this area, again, it's just nice to have that nice exfoliation done. And one thing, if you're not, if you haven't heard this before, one thing that exfoliation does, why it's such a great anti-aging tool, is it takes off the top layer of dead skin, so it sends messages down to the lower levels of your skin layers and lets your skin know to produce new skin. Because as we age, our skin cell turnover does start to slow. Like when we're younger, usually it's every 14 days or so where we have new skin cells produced. And then as we get older, it turns into like every 21 days that there's new skin cells. So it does slow down as we age, and that's one reason, you get the wrinkles, you get the dull gray sort of looking skin as you get older. And so one way to prevent that or to offset it is to do the exfoliation on a regular basis. Just to keep stimulating your skin and saying, hey, produce new skin cells. And not only that, but gosh, it just feels so good to have like all that dead skin off, because your skin just feels so soft. Okay. So I'm just feeling around with the washcloth kind of for any sticky spots of sugar that might have got left on the skin. If your skin feels kind of tender at this point, sometimes people feel a little more sensitive, just be gentle with your washcloth. Maybe tap like this instead of scrubbing. But if you're not sensitive, you can just scrub away. Get all that sticky sugar residue off. So then as an after treatment, you could use the witch hazel again. Since I have it here, I'm going to go ahead and do that. And that's just one more way. It is water-based, so it's going to help remove any sugar sticky residue. And witch hazel also is a good way to bring the pH back to a good level, to kind of help with the redness and inflammation afterwards. Okay. And if your skin does feel, even more, just, you can kind of judge your skin if it feels kind of irritated, or if you're just like, oh, I'm ready to go on to my day. Sometimes you can judge just by the redness. Like my neck is a little more pink. My cheeks are a little pink. My forehead actually doesn't look so pink at all. And my brows surprisingly don't look like they were even waxed. It's incredible. But I do have like some healing balm that I like to put on afterwards. So I'm just going to put a little bit of this on there. And this has some vitamin C and other ingredients that make it a good healing cream. All right. So I'm going to take a little break, and I will be back in a little while. I'm going to demonstrate the strip sugaring technique on my legs, because my hair is really long and I want to get that hair off. So see you soon.